Hey there, friend! Welcome back to the Closing Chapters podcast, where every mission has a story. All of these things go into the mindset of planning for the holidays. And yes, I know this exists for normal families, but it's a little bit more extreme on the military side of things. And I'm going to explain why. Hey! It is currently mid-November at the time of me recording this episode, and I want to give you a little perspective on the holidays from the point of view of an active duty military spouse. There are so many different thoughts and ideas around the holidays about when are you supposed to put up your decorations and how much are you supposed to do and how do we make each year magical for our children and our families, and how do we make sure that all of our people and friends are taken care of and that we are making everyone happy along the way. All of these things go into the mindset of planning for the holidays. And yes, I know this exists for normal families, but it's a little bit more extreme on the military side of things. And I'm going to explain why. Okay, let's start with decorations. To decorate or not decorate before Thanksgiving. Now, traditionally, we really try to honor the fact that there are supposed to be seasons and holidays and that we should stay decorated for fall for Thanksgiving. And then after Thanksgiving, then we can transition into Christmas, okay? However, thinking back, today, like I said, is mid-November at the time of recording this. We have not decorated it, but we just put up a new tree that we just got to have it put up and just look at the lights. And we're going to leave it up and then we will decorate it after Thanksgiving. Why does it matter? Well, last year we did not do the process of decorating a tree. We had a little 4-foot silver tinsel tree for my children, and that was what we used as our Christmas tree. Dad left December 3rd for a deployment, and I wasn't manhandling a tree by myself and doing all of that. And honestly, quite frankly, I didn't want to. I really wasn't in the mood for it. I didn't know where we were going to be for Christmas. So yeah, it just wasn't really worth it to me to try to go through the hassle of that. And we didn't have a tree, like a bigger tree to put up. We had gotten rid of ours when we moved from Tennessee and hadn't replaced it yet. So normally, I would say wait until after Thanksgiving, but this year it's almost like we're making up for lost time, right? We didn't have our traditional Christmas last year. Dad wasn't here, our family wasn't together, and it just wasn't the same. And yeah, so that's where we were at. So if you so choose to put up holiday decorations before Thanksgiving, go for it. And if you're going to be one of those people that's like, but you don't need to delete Thanksgiving, yes, you are correct. Thanksgiving is so, so important. And what better thing to be grateful for than a military family, right? That's serving and honoring us every single day. But you also have to understand that sometimes our schedules, our routines are very, very different. I've actually had a military family in the past that did Christmas in July. Dad was leaving in July and was not going to be home in time for Christmas. So they did Christmas in July before he left, and then they still had their traditional Christmas. But when I say Christmas in July, I mean they decorated and did the whole thing so that they could do it together as a family. And they were in South Carolina, so it was not Christmas season. The weather was hot, it was humid, but either way, they made the best of their situation. So if you see things like this, especially in military households, hold your opinions, because there's probably a really good reason, and there's probably a family trying to do the best that they can with the circumstances they've been given to make sure that they can honor and cherish and celebrate together, right? So every day is a new day, and we all have a chance of never coming home. But when we are sending our loved ones overseas, that risk is heightened greatly, and we all know that, regardless of whether they're going to do a normal everyday job or be in a combat zone. There is risk associated with their jobs. End of discussion. So if you have the opportunity to celebrate and do things a little bit differently, and it gives you that peace of mind that no matter what, your family was together and you got to have that moment, then you go for it. Just go for it. Okay, so that is the conversation. Decorate or don't decorate before the holidays. go for it. Also, if a family is not decorating, I just said last year, I really didn't feel it. I didn't want to put up a bunch of lights and decorations and stuff like that. You know, our family wasn't together. I didn't know if we were even going to be home. Yeah, it just wasn't worth it for me. It was more of a hassle. And then honestly, it was more of a bummer because like I wasn't doing life with my person. And that also is something to be respected, right? There's no reason to say, oh, you're being a Grinch or bah humbug or any of that stuff. Whenever a military family is saying, I'm not doing that, like, I'm going to be gone with family. I am not going to have my family home with me, whatever the case may be respectful of that because there's probably some hard feelings behind that, right? Like, I was doing the best that I could to make sure that I was strong and good for my kids. I mean, my husband literally left the beginning of the month and we were like, this is so hard. Like, you were just here and now you're not, and now we're not celebrating together. So it was fresh. I was frustrated and I didn't want anything to do with it. And honestly, it was just like, if I put it up, it was going to be a reminder that I had to do it all on my own and that my person wasn't with me. And I want to enjoy all of that together as a family. So if you see that aspect, then please be understanding that maybe there's some feelings behind it, or maybe they don't have the help that they need. On that note, that's something you could ask, is if you know that a military member is going to be gone over the holidays, ask, can I help you decorate your home? Did you have plans to decorate your home? Do you need help pulling the tree out of the attic, out of the garage, wherever it might be? Because sometimes the logistics of it is just like, I just don't even want to touch it. Not by strength, let me tell you. I know you guys have seen all of this fun videos where it's like, when my husband's home, right? We ask for help for everything. And then when they're not home, we can somehow be superwoman and manhandle furniture and do all of these things. So it is not because we are not capable. Sometimes it's just a lot, or it's just the principle, the fact that we're having to do it alone versus our family being together. So offer to help. It could be really fun to do that together and say, hey, I'm going to come over, or, you know, my daughter's going to come with me. She's going to watch the kids and you and I are going to decorate the house. Let's go. You know, like, I'll bring a bottle of wine and let's do the thing. That's really, really cool. But honestly, just some food for thought. And then additionally, I'm going to flip over to the family side of things for a little bit. I've seen a lot said about this and I've never really vocalized anything about it, but you know, we always say it within our own household and then honestly usually give way and bust our own plans. But when you are a military family, a lot of times we are not living close to what you would consider home, where our family is at. And a lot of times our family expects us to just come home to them. And that's hard, right? Like, traditionally speaking, it's hard. It's hard for me to load up my 2 children and drive all over creation by myself, especially when my husband is deployed. I would like to just sit tight and give my family stability as much as possible and let people come to me. So if you have that opportunity where you know there's a military family that is your friends or it's your own family, offer to like come to them and let them hang tight, right? And let me tell you a secret. We don't need to just celebrate Christmas on Christmas, okay? Just like Thanksgiving, who does a Friendsgiving, right? You do it the weekend before, the week of, the weekend after, or something like that, where all of your friends come together and you do a Thanksgiving. There's no reason why Christmas cannot be earlier or later in our worlds. So come join us, especially if we are a family with littles, or you need to understand that sometimes finances are not plentiful in the military world, especially if somebody has just moved potentially, or the spouse is not working or doesn't typically have a job because they are a stay-at-home mom. That is a job, but you know what I mean, like additional income coming in. Yeah, that can be really hard. I don't know if you know this or not, but military pay on its own is not plentiful to most. I know there's some extras there because sometimes people are in jobs where they're getting special duty pay because they're in high-risk jobs, or they've been in a very long time and they're an officer and have a higher rank, whatever the case may be. Sure, there's a few, but the military as a whole, does not get paid nearly enough. So that can be very, very hard. And especially when you topple that on top of pretty consistent moves, before you ever play catch up from one move, you are getting ready for the next move. And that leaves you in a place where you are usually always scrounging and always running behind. So be mindful of that. If you have the ability and the capability to go to a military family for the holidays, do that. Say, hey, I just want to come to you, right? Like, and if they're in a small place or something like that, say, it's okay, I'll grab a hotel, or like, let's go rent an Airbnb for the weekend and we'll do the holidays together as a family. Or let's drive, an hour away, whatever the case may be. Something like that might be much more obtainable, but just be flexible and have options. And I can say that from my perspective, I feel very like I need to do whatever my family wants to do. So if my family says that they're staying, where they're at and that I need to come visit them if I want to see them, then I feel obligated to do so. And that shouldn't necessarily be the case. If I want to stay home with my children because I have little children, that should be okay. And it's not necessarily a family problem. Sometimes it's an us problem. Like, we don't want to really say, hey, I just want to stay home with my kids. Could you just come visit us instead? And it's at risk of upsetting our kids or upsetting family members. So if you are family or friends to a military family, don't make it hard on them. There's enough going on in our world that we are trying to navigate and get through every day. And sometimes we just need a little extra love and support to just show up at our front door, right? So be the person that can be flexible and come visit if you can. Now, sometimes we want to just get out and go, right? So last year, like I said, I didn't know if I was going to be home or not. There's two different ways to look at it, right? Like, dad's home or dad's not home and I need to keep things as stable as possible for my children. Or dad's not home, let's go somewhere else so that we are not sitting in our house sulking or thinking about the fact that dad is not home, right? So either way, there can be a lot of ebb and flow with a lot of that, and we just have to be flexible and know that year to year, the plan may change. I know that a lot of families say, hey, Thanksgiving is at Grandma and Grandpa's house and Christmas is at Mom and Dad's house, and that's what we're doing. And you're just expected to be there. Well, don't. I give you permission. If it's hard, if it's cumbersome, if it's going to put you in a financial pickle, don't. And I'm preaching to the choir, right? Like, learning this myself. And it's okay to hang tight. It's okay just to be with your immediate family. It's okay to have friends over. It's okay to let other people into your world. And you have the permission to do that from my mouth. And you also have permission to not have to hold on to the guilt or the obligation when other people put that on your plate. We have enough on our plates, friends. If you didn't know, we have enough on our plate. The everyday family has enough on their plate when they have their grandparents and aunts and uncles 5 minutes down the road. You put a military family with all of that and more on their plate and absolutely no family anywhere to be found near them. It's a really high expectation. So what do we do about this if we happen to be in the vicinity with the military family? I actually just had the privilege of doing a little mini class on this, and I'm looking forward to teaching it again. But we talked about, like, how do we elevate the experience for military families during the holidays, or what can we do? And I really wanted to hone in on the fact that, one, we determine, like, is a family whole? Like, is the military member home or not? And if they're not, in particular, then we need to go into elf mode, so to speak. We're going to be the helper, right? And it's not asking, it's saying, I am going to help you, right? Like, I know that, that your husband's not home. I know that your spouse is not home. Christmas is going to be hard. I know you have 2 little children. You are going to bring me gifts and I'm going to wrap them. Give me the gifts with little sticky notes on them saying who they're supposed to be from. Or you write the tags and put the tags with the gifts and I will wrap them and bring them over to you at X time. I know you mentioned wanting to get Johnny a bike. Let's go together while Johnny's in school and get the bike. I'm going to bring it back to my house. The bike will be on your front steps at 6:30 in the morning on Christmas morning with a bow on it. I'm going to bring it over. I'll get it set up. I'll do whatever you need, right? Or, hey, I know you might not want to like come over, but I'm just going to bring you a family meal, for you and the kids for Christmas. That way you guys can just pop it in the oven and enjoy. I know you're going to have your hands full with the kids, doing Christmas, doing the gifts, putting everything together all on your own. So, here you go. And it doesn't have to be like a homemade meal, you guys, right? Like Costco, Sam's Club, BJ's is great about this, where they have those prefabbed family meals now where you can literally just buy one thing and like take it over. So what a great way. And always, 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 sure, open your door. Say, hey, do you want to come over for, dinner Christmas Eve or on the 26th or whatever have you. I know, like afterwards it can be overwhelming when the kids are home by themselves. Kind of take them for a couple hours so you can clean up or get things set up, whatever the case might be. So, but a lot of times, at least in my world, I would rather just be in my space. So if there's a way that you can help me within my space, like say, hey, I'm going to come over and just hang with you and the kids, and then you do whatever you need to do. Like if you want to go put toys together or get all the trash taken out, then, there'll be eyes on the kids, right? Like that's amazing. Or, hey, I'm going to come over and we're going to cook up leftovers together, right? Like I'll help you make some sandwiches for everyone and we'll make a platter and let's just hang out on the 26th and chill together. We'll put our two families together, right? So, and that's something that you can see super common in a military environment, is that families that are like deployed at the same time, a lot of times will join forces and come together, or even not. Sometimes it's like, hey, you are part of us now and you get to borrow my husband. Like, he's going to do the tree, he's going to do the lights, he's going to do this for you. Like, no big deal. Just tell us when to come over and you and I'll do this and he'll do that, right? Which is pretty amazing. And I can't tell you the number of times that I have had that honor of like, hey, my spouse is gone and my buddy says, hey, I'm coming over to mow your grass. And not only did he mow our grass, he like raked up all the clippings, and that was so not necessary. And we had an acre, and I was like, thank you so much. And he was like, well, it's what I would do at my house, so why wouldn't I do it at your house? So it's things like that just mean the world. And it's not, he didn't ask, can I come over and take care of your yard work? It was, I'm coming over and doing X, Y, and Z. And at that point, like that pressure's off of me, and I don't feel like I have to give you a pity party or that I'm obligated or like taking your help. It's literally just like I'm doing this thing, right? So I would encourage you just to find a special way. Like, your friends, your neighbors, your families around you, their patterns and what they normally do or what they normally eat or what might be going on in the world for the holidays. So just see how you can be available, right? And I think more than anything, simply just existing and conversating is one of the best things that you can do, right? Military life can be lonely. It can be extremely busy, and it can be extremely lonely all at the same time. And during the holidays, when all of a sudden everybody disappears and you might be left to your lonesome, it's really cool if somebody just pops up and decides that they're going to be in your world. And it makes all the difference in the world, right? This is just another really cool idea. I'm just thinking back to I'm like going through my Rolodex of our experiences, right? So the first year of my daughter's life, we spent Thanksgiving and Christmas in a hotel in Tennessee. And the staff at that hotel was amazing. We have been blessed with staff at hotels. Let me just say that. So that's where I'm going with this. But anyhow, the hotel was decorated for Christmas. We sat in front of the tree, put our daughter in front of the tree. She was, 10, 11 months old at the time, and did everything there. Had our little tiny mini tree and got gifts delivered to the hotel. I mean, it was really awesome that they just knew us and knew we were there and tried to make it as special as possible for us while we were waiting for our house to close. So that was amazing. But where I'm going with that is just to remember, like, if you are in a space where like you're wanting to do something special, It would be really cool if you went to your, like, if you were in a military town, right? If you went to your local hotels and one just said, like, hey, do you have any military families that are staying in the hotels for the holidays that you're aware of? And if so, could I sponsor them? Like, could you, are you able to give me a little bit of information, like, how many family members, what the ages might be, something like that. Or like, can I leave these slips with you and you can ask the families if they might like to fill it out, and then I can come back by in a couple days and pick them up and see what I can do. That could be so freaking cool. Like, so cool. Something probably I'm going to try to sponsor with my own company in the future, because that's just really exciting. But on top of it, like, if you can bless or love on the staff inside of hotels or some of these places that are always open over the holidays, but hotels in particular is what I'm thinking about. Like, they don't get a break. That doesn't go away. Yeah, sure, maybe they trade off and have, this day off or that day off, but it's usually never a lot. Like, we still saw all of our normal people pretty darn fast. I mean, they never had more than like a day or two off before somebody else transitioned right back in. So, that could be such a beautiful blessing on both sides, just to bless the hotel staff that is there for us and sacrificing, like, for people that literally are in limbo land or traveling over the holidays. But two, to find another way to literally just sponsor a military family that may not expect it. Because if we're in the hotel over the holidays, there's a good chance that we're either coming or going. And if they're coming, right, there's a really good chance that we don't really even know anybody yet, or we don't have our stuff, anything thereof. And that was our situation. This was our first Army duty station, so we didn't know anybody. We didn't have any connections. And we didn't have our stuff. We literally brought our 2 vehicles, stuffed as full as we could, with our daughter and our 2 dogs at the time. And so, yeah, that was tough. And we did make sure that we had our tiny little tree with us, and that was it. That was all that we had to set up for Christmas. So keep that in mind. And just know that, like, you would be blessing someone so greatly. Also, this is just a note to all the realtors in the world. Because I wish that we would have been given this heads up. And you might go, Brittney, you are military. You should know better. But it wasn't this way where we were at previously. So when we were in Tennessee, I just told you we were in a hotel from Thanksgiving on, and it was during COVID, so we had to wait till we got there to go house hunting. We weren't allowed to, like, take a break over the weekend and come visit. Like, we weren't allowed to leave Missouri while we were there. So anyhow, we are looking all over the place. We're GPSing how long it's going to take to get to the base, all these type of things. And it seems like where we picked was going to be, like, the quickest, like, get to base. Like, we were right by the highway. It was a straight shot down to the base, 7 miles from my husband's unit. Should have been good, right? Well, during the holidays at that time, the area was a ghost town. We had not been there before, so we had no idea that half of the world was missing. In South Carolina, we didn't experience that. There was enough overlap, or people that stayed or whatever. Like, there wasn't some huge transition where, like, all of a sudden there was nobody on the streets. Well, after the holidays, and we actually got in our house in January, and my husband actually started commuting into the base, it was insanity. And we could have gone to a different part of town, and it would have been the same distance for him to get home. Yeah. So if you are a realtor in a military town, and you know that your area clears out during the holidays, or it's a very different dynamic than when it is not during the holidays, please think about that and remember that, and be transparent with your clients, because that was a total surprise to us. We were going by GPS times, and obviously the GPS times are also going by the traffic patterns, like right now, what it's seeing. And yeah, that really tripped us up. We would have made some very big decisions that were very different than what we did if we would have known that, location-wise anyhow. We loved our house, and it was great, and we were fine. But all in all, it could have been very different. And on the flip side of it, we would have gained a lot more equity in our home had we been in a different area of town. So we still are very lucky that we have a good bit of equity in the house because of when we purchased it. However, if we would have just been 10 minutes down the road, it would be a very different situation. So yeah, all that to say, if you are a real estate professional, please remember that. Please remember that if you know that there's a difference in the commute in your town during certain times of the year. The other time I'm thinking about, at least in Army land, is July, right? There seems like a lot of people get their 2 weeks summer leave during July, and so things can be a lot more skimmed down than normal. People out of town and vacationing and visiting people. So yeah, during the holidays and during July looked very different in Tennessee than the rest of the year. So please, please, please make sure that you are educating your clients, especially in that facet. That is one of the key points where when I say any agent can do a VA loan, can write the contract, can get through the motions, those are the things that if you don't know about and you're not, like thinking about or sharing, that you can be leading your clients astray, right? And I wish that we would have known a little bit differently or better and made a better decision with that, simply because we would have had more equity, we would have had a little bit better quality of life, and been closer to a lot of the amenities that we utilized with our family and our kids, and the commute wouldn't have been any different than what we were doing anyways. So yeah, food for thought. All in all, love on your military people during the holidays. Be flexible with them, be understanding, don't be judging. Like, we shouldn't judge each other anyways, right? We really shouldn't. But I'm just asking you to keep that in mind with your military families. Their worlds could be so different and being torn upside down during the holidays. So just be a helping hand and be sensitive to what you are saying or asking out of families or children during the holiday season. Use leading questions like, hey, hey mom, is everybody home for the holidays this year? And even if mom doesn't answer and gives you like that, okay, enough is enough, don't talk about it anymore, and find another time to say like, hey, let's chat, and let's make a plan. Because sometimes we also don't really say things to our children until it is time. And every family can be very different with this, but I guess I'm just going to hit this on the head while I'm talking about it. When it comes to deployment or our service members leaving, some families talk about it ahead of time so that there's preparation. All right. My children are young. They're 5 and 3. If I say daddy's going to be leaving soon, they think daddy's leaving today. And then it is like this whole whirlwind of emotions where it's like, when's daddy leaving? Daddy's leaving today. When I get home, daddy's not going to be here. And that's not the case. We're saying, hey, dad's leaving in a couple months or dad's leaving in a couple weeks. They don't understand that. They have no concept of time. So honestly, sometimes until dad is packing bags and he's going to be getting on a plane, we're not talking about it within our household openly. So please be sensitive to that as well. Everybody has a different way of doing that, and you need to just be very aware of what that scenario could be for families and respect that. It's not your job to say, well, you should be telling your children, because you don't know how everybody communicates or what how the children take it. And I can tell you, even now, daddy's back home, and we all the time say like, hey, you can't say something to the kids unless it's like right now, because they think that if you're telling them that we're going to do something, that it means immediately it's happening in live time. So yes, please be sensitive to all of your families, especially when it comes to our military making trips and ebbing and flowing. So I hope that this is helpful and insightful for the holidays, and I hope that it gives you some good ideas of ways that you can love on your military community during the holidays and really show them that you are there and support them every step of the way. Hey, I just wanted to say thank you for being here and listening in on this episode of Closing Chapters with me. I truly enjoy putting this content together, and I hope that you enjoy it too. If so, could you like, subscribe, and share this episode with somebody you know that will enjoy it just as much as you did? Thank you so much.